welcome back to Invincipod, probably the best podcast on the internet about Amazon's Invincible. I'm James.
I'm Ralph.
And better late than never, eh?
Yeah, I mean, here, listen. I mean, it's not that late.
It's not.
It's a day late than we initially planned. But what's kind of crazy is, I think in a couple days we're gonna have episode 2.
Yeah.
Like I think. Okay, so I forgot that Amazon releases their stuff at 5 or something, 5
really
p.m.
good
California
really
time. So I
helpful
can,
time, yeah.
so I could watch it Thursday, no problem. And then, yeah, we'll probably be the first Invincible podcast to show up on the internet.
Gonna be up there. It's
right
gonna be
after
one
that.
of the first, definitely.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of early releases,
Yeah.
let me just real quick. So I don't know why this happened. I've been podcasting since 2006.
Yeah.
So what's that? Like 17 years or something? 16 years?
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually when you post the shows, it won't go to Apple Podcasts or anywhere else unless there's an audio file to go with it. And for some reason, the show was scheduled to go yesterday. It went up yesterday on the feeds, and I'm like, that's fine, whatever. People will come to it, and if they see it, then they'll notice that we're going to be doing it in the morning. For some reason, iTunes is like, yeah, sure, let's put this up on iTunes, even though there's no file whatsoever.
Oh, weird.
And so it just was up there. I don't know why.
As a blank thing that wasn't downloadable. Wow, weird. Very weird.
So some folks were like, "Oh man, it says I can't listen to it," and I'm like, "It doesn't exist yet."
Yeah, we haven't recorded it yet.
But it is recorded now as we speak.
Yeah. I mean, the reason that we are a little bit later is I was on vacation this weekend. I was going to be getting back yesterday. The time. So I was one time zone out from where I normally am. Then your clocks changed over the weekend. Right. I was having a few drinks, and so I was trying to figure out when it would be for me for when I get back.
Impossible.
If there was no delays, because I'd been delayed traveling out, but I wasn't coming back. And it was just a massive clusterfuck. I was literally stood in line for security on the way back in going, wait, hang on. YouTube says this is 2 a.m. for me. I am exhausted already. I can't do that. But we managed to make it work out. And also it then led to the best comment that I think we've ever received from anything ever. From Stevie. She mentioned, she sent a message to the Instagram with this is what you get when you mess with clocks, which because of the song, the needle drop in the episode of Invincible, absolutely perfect. Radiohead little cover for us only.
I kept telling Stevie that you were on holiday because that's how you guys speak over there. But what's funny is we've known about this since they announced the November 3rd release. Yeah. We knew that it was coming, and we had it all set up. Okay, we'll just do it on Monday. And that's
I figured
fine.
out how long it would take me to get out of the airport and then get back to mine. Yeah.
And then as soon as it happened, it's like, oh no. I told him oh no, our times change. Our time's different. And then, It was one of those things where he said, "Oh, I said 6 p.m." and usually we go by Pacific time sometimes we go by your time, and I'm like, I was like, he said 6 p.m. I'm like, he's gonna do it at 2 a.m. I'm like, I guess he works graveyard shifts, so he might be cool that I guess I'll just do it then. And then it didn't happen, but you felt so bad about it, and I'm just like, I'm like, as long as we're here when Jeremy's here, as long as Jeremy can watch it, we're good.
That's it.
And Jeremy might be here.
Hopefully. If not, listening to this in the future, hi Jeremy.
Yeah.
Johnny's changed
here.
our schedules for you.
Stevie's here, and then Robert. Hopes you had an awesome time. You were in Spain.
I was in Spain, yeah. Liz used to live in southern Spain for a couple of years, and we went back and we went and visited some friends there. It was lovely.
I told when I was telling Stevie you were on holiday, she said, "Oh, anywhere cool?" And I said, "Yeah, Spain." And she's like, "Oh, that's not super exciting for people over there." I'm like, "Oh, I guess
it's really not. No, it's just." Anywhere it's pretty easy.
It's okay. I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but is that where Gibraltar is in Spain?
Yeah. That's on the Southern.
Yeah,
That's
see,
about
that's
2 hour drive from.
see, that's exciting for me because James Bond was at Rock of Gibraltar in The
Yeah.
Living Daylights.
I mean, you definitely like some of the places we were driving around. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen that in a Bond movie. Yeah, it's cool. Was
Yeah,
that
the
was
only
cable
places.
car, right? Oh no, that's the beginning of
No.
Living Daylights, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, the beginning. It's
the intro. Yeah.
Yeah, the cable car was in Rio. The thing is, I've been to like every time any place James Bond's been in America, I've been to with the exception of like Kentucky. Like he's been to LAX and he's been to Las Vegas, and I'm like, I've been to those places.
Yeah.
But
I like doing that with Star Wars locations.
yeah,
If they're ever in the UK, I'm like, oh, I could go there. It's the forest. I managed to do one that was an actual active military base once from my last job. I went to where they shot Dakar. Is it Dakar? The base from Force Awakens.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that was cool.
yeah.
We should talk about Invincible because
Let's get into it.
Because we're doing this today, I do have work today, so let's get into it because it's been 2.5
I only have 4
years.
notes.
I don't
Yeah,
have any
it
notes.
has.
I watched this when we'd had a night out, and then we watched it on my laptop because we both wanted to watch Invincible, and then I watched it. My second viewing was on my phone on the plane home.
Yeah. I watched it. I only watched it once, but I watched, and I normally don't do this, but I like watched a lot of recaps, and I watched some reaction videos and listened to the Invincible podcast, which is a lot of fun. They've seen all 4.
Yeah, I think screeners went out. I think screeners went out.
Yeah, how do we get in on that?
Yeah, that would make our lives a lot easier. We could go for longer if we needed to as well.
I like the live aspect of our show, though.
I do like the live recorder.
It would have helped with this episode. Yeah. But they're doing it the right way. They actually would watch one episode, record, and then watch the next one. They do it right over there. Yeah. But yeah, it's back. And again,
that's so good. I'm so glad.
I'm the most excited to do a podcast than any other podcast I do. No offense to live action Star Wars that I host with you, but like seriously, like if I were really, fuck those guys. The like there's it, and again, I think it might be due to the amount of time between episodes, but I put so much effort into this show. This is a show I'm making like unique openings for every episode, mostly because the song's so long, the intro song, and then I made a new outro, which you guys will see. I went in this morning and I added Blue Sky to our end card because we're on Blue Sky now. So if you happen to be on Blue Sky, find us at Invincipod, and if you need codes, I now have like I think 10 accounts on Blue Sky because no one was taking codes. So now every 2 weeks, I'm going to have 10 codes to give out. Right. So if you want to be on Blue Sky, if you want to hang out with us there, if you want to help us bug Corey Walker, Robert Kirkman, and Ryan Otley to be on the show, do that on Blue Sky because it's probably the best place to get in touch with them. They're barely on Blue Sky.
Be nice, but like, send them a message. Say that this is your favorite Invincible podcast, and that we'd love to hear your input.
Yeah, I like I said, we'd love to have you on guest anytime you're available. And then Jeremy Kelly piped in and said, I would love that.
Yeah, perfect.
That's
it. Yeah. This episode, what did you think of it? Let's because
okay.
Go.
I have so many thoughts because I knew this was going to be Engstrom Levy.
Yeah.
And when I reread the comic, I think that's where I stopped my reread.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I'm not a huge fan of the Engstrom Levy storyline, and it's really simple.
It's prolonged as well. He's one of these. He's a bad guy in the comics who, like, I feel like Engstrom stuff takes a long time, but it's like because we might not see him for a while, but then he pops back up. Yeah.
Right. He so for me, like when I read Green Lantern, obviously I'm a Green Lantern fan. I would read like reading Silver Age. You get to a point where Tomar Ray is introduced. I'm not going to take him down. I'll knock stuff over. He's an alien who's a Green Lantern of the next neighboring sector. Mm-hmm. He was actually the Green Lantern of Krypton. I don't know if you knew that. That event weighs heavy on him. But as soon as they introduce like Space Green Lantern Corps, then it cuts to the next issue where it's like back on Earth, and he's fighting like gangsters again, and I'm like, no,
That's the world just got a whole lot bigger, sort of thing.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, we just introduced Viltrum and what they are and everything like that, and Nolan gets away, and it's like, awesome. Let's get out into space. Let's have some. I mean, this adventure just went
Cosmic,
galactic.
Yeah.
And then it's Angstrom Levy, and it's about dimensions and stuff. So in the book, I never really. I'm like, oh, okay, it's a great read.
Yeah.
It's still a page turner,
Yeah.
but I find myself being like, I want to see him punching aliens and monsters, you know. That being said, this episode, I feel like, I mean, I don't remember the comics super well, but I feel like this engaged me more than the comics did as far as Angstrom Levy goes.
I think it's a testament to the animation and watching it as opposed to reading it. It's also lends itself to the fact that we said this in season 1, all the way through season 1. Kirkman's going in and like just tweaking. He's doing the George Lucas special edition thing where he's like, that was my first draft, and now I've got another chance to tell the story again, and it's 20 years later from the start of the book. So they can update things, they can modernize things. He's got better as a writer, they can refine. So not everything is going to be exactly the way you want it to be. It might be slight changes and differences, but he's so involved in the creative process. You can't just be like, writers took his work. He's there, he's doing this himself. And
I saw him do an interview recently where he was talking about, this is my second pass at telling this story.
Exactly.
And because he's doing it in a more condensed format, it's not a comic where you're like, oh, I can get back to this in like 5 issues.
And forget about stuff. And I think he used to fully admit it. He's like,
really
he'd forget
tight.
about storylines. Yeah.
It's tight. It's cutting out the fat. What I like about this show is I did a rewatch over the last week and a half. I did a full rewatch. Awesome. And I'm like, there's only 8 episodes. You know, I can just get through this. Like, it's as many episodes as, like, say, Ahsoka. The amount of story and characters and storylines and threads and character development and character drama and comedy and action that's jammed into these 8 episodes, because it's still like the same amount of time as like any Star Wars episode. Like, it's about a 45-minute.
It might be a little bit longer than some of them. Yeah.
Right. And I was watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, the Martian storyline's like a full episode, but there's also other stuff that happens. And I'm like, this is like, they're really...
They did 3 story arcs in season 1. They did like 3 full story arcs from the comics in season 1. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all like put together and edited really cleanly and nicely, where the story doesn't feel jumbled. It has a nice flow to it. It feels really nicely planned out.
Yeah.
And just the pacing of it.
Animation, isn't it? You can't just shoot something and go, we'll fix it later in the season. Like,
Right. And then, let's talk about the animation too, because the animation in this episode was phenomenal. It looks so good. And again, I'm liking it too. Nothing. I'm not disparaging anybody, but Corey Walker came in for the first run storyline of Invincible, and it's great.
Yep.
Second
and
sort
Otley.
of big arc, Otley came in, and you're like, okay, this looks it looks the same. It feels like it's still in the same continuity, but it's just more refined, and that's what this feels like.
And I feel like even
refined.
Whether it is intentional or not, Otley's style tweaked, and I think it lends itself to inkers and colorists and stuff as well. But from when he first took over, his it felt like a very seamless transition from Corey Walker to Ryan Otley. But then a few issues, and each issue would progress, and it would get more and more refined and more to that what we now think of as like the Ryan Otley look.
Right. You know what's funny is I'm starting to get used to the character designs in the show.
Yeah.
And I go back and I look at stuff from the books, and then there's a new, so the day after my birthday, on iOS, they're releasing an Invincible like combat game.
Oh.
I think it's called Invincible Guarding the Globe. And it looks like sort of like a turn-based fighting game, but instead of like one person going in and the other person attacking, like it's like a brawl.
Cool.
I can't fully get it, but it comes out February 19th. I've
Like
already
a Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes, or there was a Lord of the
yeah,
Rings one, something like
but
that,
you got to look at the combat because it's way more dynamic than one at a time. Download it now. This is not an ad. We're not sponsored. You can go and download it now in the iOS shop. And if you do that early, you'll unlock additional characters by the time it launches.
If it's
so it's called
like
Guarding the Globe.
If it's anything like any of those other games, there'll be a guild system or something in there. Like we'll definitely have to set something up for Invincible.
It'll be an Invincipod.
Absolutely.
Guild. So the art in that weirdly looks like the comics brought to life again, but in a different style. But I'm like looking at the characters, and it looks like it's like a 3D, almost cel shaded, but not really look to it. And Mark looks more like Corey Walker, as opposed to the show where Mark looks more Ryan Otley.
Yeah,
but it looks so great. And then Eve looks more like the comic Eve. Like they're like nailing it. So
like, as a franchise, as a property, like they seem to really be going in very sensibly. Like they're rolling stuff out. It's not a deluge all at once of here's so much stuff that you get sick of it. It's paced out nicely. And I'm not a massive fan of The Boys. I think The Boys is good, but like I do credit Amazon with the way that they've rolled that out, where like they've expanded that into like there's an animation, there's a spin-off show, like there's
Giancarlo Volpe did the animated Boys.
That tracks, I believe it. Like just looking at it, I'm like, that looks like something that he'd be working on. And it's like that's it's paced out. It's every couple of years you get something new, and great, cool. That's fine. I'm sure that they kind of did that with Walking Dead as well, but by the time they started doing other things, I think a lot of people were already over it and done. So animation in this, I thought it was really interesting. So we get the cold open, you get the first bit where we meet Angstrom, and you get the fight with Mark and the Immortal busting through the clouds. Those cool wide shots. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. I know where this is going because I know that the Immortal doesn't trust Mark, and we'd seen a bit of it in the trailer as well. And then you get the reveal, and Omni-Man comes in, slices the arm. That whole scene felt like the animation from season 1, but then as soon as we get past that and into the Radiohead montage,
oh man,
it stepped up and it looked more like the animation from the Atom Eve special and what we get going forward, where it's like it's just like turned up a bit. It's just better.
I'm not a huge Radiohead fan, but that sequence was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and like I appreciate Radiohead a lot. I'm actually listening to a podcast all about one of their albums at the moment. But I'm not a big fan. I don't go out of my way to listen to Radiohead very often. But you hear Radiohead, you hear Karma Police in particular, and you're like, well, this is a depression song. This is Mark is in depression mode, and he's when do you see depression superheroing?
It's perfect because we've had 2 years to sit with this. They mentioned in the show it's been a month. So it's just one of those things where I'm just like, you see him trying so hard to not be his dad, to the point where like he doesn't even want to be seen.
He's
a lot of this stuff happens off screen.
And when he would have to be seen, to stop, what is it, Magmar and the stretchy guy, like those two guys,
Tether Tyrant and Mag. Oh man, Mag. Oh shit! I knew it. I know it's Tether Tyrant. Tether Tyrant, one of my favorite designs from like Otley.
So good. But when he lands at that fight, he lands behind the cop, like presumably no one looks at him and sees him, and he doesn't get involved. Because he would be front facing at that point. He waits and Cecil's guys come in, and then by the time that cop turns around, he's gone. Like he's not there anymore because as you were saying, he doesn't really want to be seen.
Yeah, you don't see him pull out the engine of the car from the robbers. You don't see him picking up
lets the wave take
ambulance.
over him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's wearing the outfit.
Suit, yeah. I mean, if they were gonna do the blue and black suit, it would have been a way of doing it then. But I think that comes. I mean, it does definitely come a lot later.
Can I talk about the blue and black suit?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I think it's coming.
Do you?
I think that's what the cracks are at the end.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
So at the end of the show,
the cuts
at the end of the show, for it to, again, the running gag of them saying Invincible.
Good.
Up and leaving it for Jason Mantzoukas like to be the last one, where he really like leans into it, is great. Mm-hmm. But it covers it in black. I thought about changing all our background and stuff because I'm obsessed with this
it's
show.
It's the same blood splatter from the end of the first season, isn't it?
Right. And the blood, when it hit the yellow of the logo, would turn to red. So now the whole screen is now covered in black with red lettering, which again, I thought about changing stuff around, but we're good. I'm not messing with our branding. We're good. You see the crack, and if you look in the crack, it's all blue. And I'm thinking, I'm wondering if this season arc,
they get to that one. Yeah.
They get to the point where it's the all blue suit, the black and blue suit with the, but I never liked that look. I always liked the yellow and blue look.
I liked it. I like the tweaks that they made to the costume, like losing the knee pads and like tightening up some of it. I'm looking at the old costume there and the blue costume here.
I like the yellow one more. I like the yellow.
Like, when it came back, when the yellow one came back, I was like, oh, there we go. Like, there it is. And I feel like I'd been missing it. But when they switched to the blue, I was a big fan.
Okay.
It's a lot more Nightwing. It looks more like Nightwing to me, I think, at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't like the black goggles.
Yeah, the black-eyed, like, they're still reflective, but yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I've come to like when I first read Invincible and they're talking about the suit being iconic and it's the yellow and blue and I'm like, it's just, there's nothing like super iconic to me. But now
it's the image.
But now it is
it's the image logo as a suit.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I'm like, now when I see the show and I see Invincible pop up in any ad, I'm like, it's iconic to me now.
Yeah.
So let me talk about, well, let's do this since we're talking about the suit. Mm-hmm. We get Bulletproof, and I couldn't be more excited to get Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys are watching the show and you haven't read the comic books, we've seen Bulletproof suit before.
Yep.
It's Art Rosenbaum tried to get Invincible to wear that suit, and nobody wanted it, and he was having trouble moving it. It has now gone on to Bulletproof. I'll do a little bit of mansplaining right now. When they were designing Invincible, originally Cory Walker designed a character was not Invincible. His character's name was Bulletproof, and that was going to be the outfit. And Robert Kirkman essentially said it needs to be more iconic. They changed the name to Invincible, and then we got the suit that we have now. So Bulletproof is almost like a weird like inside
leftover, like yeah.
Yeah, it's a leftover Invincible design. It's a leftover Art Rosenbaum costume, and Bulletproof also a leftover name and
leftover Guardian. Like he joins later. Like he's inserted in to fill a role. And with stuff that they may or may not do. So I don't really want to talk about it in depth, but like that character has some stuff.
So here's the thing. I mean, I could talk. Maybe I'll talk about it because I don't know if we're going to get to this point in the series.
Yeah.
But at some point in the comics, Mark goes and does what I want to do: is go out and turns into a cosmic. Yeah. He's a superhero in space, and while he's out in space, Bulletproof dons the Invincible outfit, and he's invincible. Yeah. And so again, it's ultimately this Bulletproof idea evolving into Invincible and using the character. Jay Farrow is the voice of Bulletproof. Fucking nailed it. Sterling K. Brown as Angstrom fucking nailed it. The casting continues to be pitch perfect.
Yeah, so good.
I think Eve is the only one that I still have a little trouble with, but because I know
you're so familiar with Gillian.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Gilead Jacobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's
Yeah, I can't not hear her as Britta, like from Community. Like,
right,
I still just always
right.
hear that.
Yeah,
But it does work. Like I do like it, and
yeah.
we
She's
get
great.
two different versions of her, obviously in this episode. That the opening scene, that mark from that Earth, from when he breaks her neck and paralyzes her. Oh, that is one of the cruelest.
That's bad enough.
Yeah.
But to hear Nolan say, "Oh, that's what you've been practicing on protesters,"
Yeah.
that's fucked up.
It's so fucked up. All of it is so fucked up, and just the blasé nature of which he's like, yeah, I've got people to look after. I can go visit. It leans into that I loved her like a pet sort of thing. That thing from Nolan in season 1. It's
and what's fucked up is Engstrom Levy says that the majority of the dimensions, this is the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're getting the Invincible War, right? Like, we're getting the Invincible War.
I need to reread because I was just going to say, in the comics, didn't Invincible have to fight a bunch of different Invincibles from different dimensions?
Yeah.
I need to pick up. My comicsology tells me where I left off.
Good.
I just need to start reading again. I don't think it's going to ruin the show if I start diving back into this. Jeremy Kelly has read the entire series in record time.
He's going to be the freshest on this than all of us.
Yeah.
We read the ending again, but we didn't read the whole thing.
Right. Oh my God. So is this leading to the Invincible War? Is this season?
I can't remember if it was Angstrom. I assume it would be, but
this is Kirkman's second pass. So tighten it up. So here's what Kirkman said about how things were going. So season 2 is going to be 8 episodes. And he said, we're going to do the first 4.
Yeah.
We're going to do the first 4. He said, where it ends, these 4, is going to make sense. It's going to give you time to be like, okay, relax, go enjoy your holiday off, go do that. We're going to be back closer to the beginning of the year.
Gives everyone a chance to get their orders in for Christmas, and everyone can buy the books, everyone can buy all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna speculate, but I'm thinking possibly Invincible War at the end of this one. I think that would be a great
mid-season
climax to this season. I don't know if mid-season.
The season finale. Yeah,
I think so. Agrees with you. Or I think maybe at the end of the 4, it's like, oh, here's all the Invincibles coming out of the door. Oh, there goes the thing. That's awesome. So I could see the portals opening up and Invincibles standing in all of them, and Invincibles with different mindsets.
It's like different costumes. Some of them are really close, and some of them are way different. Like that was the fun.
So I'm going to say this: if this happens, 100%, we will see the blue and black suit.
Oh yeah.
It might not be from Mark. But one of those guys will be wearing them.
I think our Mark is in the blue and black during the Invincible War, if I remember rightly. I think that's what he's wearing by the time we get to that point in the comics. But again, it all happens slightly different. They are having another pass at it all.
So maybe every Invincible from every other dimension has the yellow, and Mark teams up with the Guardians and says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to wear this one so you don't shoot at me."
Yeah. Or they come in and they need to get someone. I mean, because we're not losing Art Rosenbaum. He's sticking around for this season. He's going to be back. Mark Hamill's going to be in this season.
Speaking of being fuzzy on the comics, I heard on a recap, I think it was New Rock Stars, they mentioned that Donald was a robot in the comics. I mean, am I spoiling stuff for people?
He's got robot guts at least. I don't know if is he fully a robot?
Does he have a robot gut? Well, he's definitely in this episode.
Yep. Yeah, Liz had a question about that. She was like, "Hang on, didn't he get killed?"
Omni-Man was squeezing his spine when the house exploded. The only thing I could think of is Cyril? Cecil teleported him out and right before the explosion, and now he's got robot.
Yeah.
spine.
You've reread, you've rewatched season 1. Did we
Yeah.
have Reanimen? Did we have the Reanimen in season 1 or not?
Absolutely.
We did. I thought we did. I couldn't remember. Again, I'm having...
a whole nother thing. They combined the going to college stuff with the Reanimin and
Yeah.
oh shit.
That guy.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. I just JD fucking A.
not
Jesus
Silent
Christ. There's just so many characters to remember, and I this last rewatch, I'm like, I'm gonna remember his name. It's Ezra Miller. He plays JD. Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. Someone in the chat, please just help me. Please help me.
I'm gonna guess it probably
yeah,
won't
they
be
did a
Ezra
Reanimin
Miller
because William's boyfriend that he goes to the college for gets turned into one.
Yes.
And Cecil uses 3 Reanimin to slow down Omni-Man in the season finale.
That's right. Yeah.
And then he drops the kaiju in. It's gonna drive me fucking nuts.
Jeremy, we need you.
I mean, I can look it up, but I'm hoping someone else would look it up. Who creates the Reanimin? What does Ezra Miller play in season 1 of Invincible? But that's what I'm saying, dude. There's so many storylines that they packed into the first season. I'm like, why can't Star Wars be like this?
Yeah, right.
So, and it feels so.
That's why my first watch through of this episode, beginning of season 2, I was like, I love all of this. It felt long. It felt like a lot because there's so much packed in there.
Yeah.
And I think because of when we were watching it, we were quite hungover. We were just lazing around, and it was like, I don't know, that felt a little bit sort of slow paced. But then on my second watch, when I was watching it on the plane in the right headspace and everything like that, I was like, oh no, not at all. I absolutely didn't feel that at all. I was just like, there is just a lot going on, and it's very much setting up the main bad guy of this season. Yeah, and being Angstrom and everything that they're doing there.
Yeah. D.A. Sinclair.
Sinclair, that's it.
I knew I had it too. I was like, I always forget this guy's name, and then on the rewatch, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna remember this.
Yeah, it's Sinclair. Yeah.
So, I don't know if I said, but as far as this episode goes, and me not being the hugest fan of the Angstrom storyline, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I like that they condensed it down. I saw a lot of people comparing.
It's hard to hate like the Mauler twins as well. Like they are so good.
Oh, I love them.
They are so good, and the performance in this.
They're really great in this too.
Yeah, they were good.
I thought the Mauler twins were okay in the comics. They always kind of show up at weird times, and it's always fun to see them. But
it's like, oh, these guys again.
They're really good. Kevin Michael Richardson, who does the voice of the Mauler twins, also does the voice of Kilowog from Green Lantern, the animated series. He's also Cleveland Jr. In the Cleveland show. He's done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's been around forever. He's in everything.
He's so good. He's so good in this again, and it's making me like the Mauler twins more. And I think it's also because since they're cutting out the fat, they're really condensing all the characters and making the Mauler twins, like, instead of like talking about who the Mauler twins are over the course of like 50 issues, we're getting a nice good condensed chunk of it so we know exactly who they are. And I love that they look like big dumb brutes, but they're like smarter than
they are. They're used not as muscle for beating on people. They're used as muscle for like brain power. We're like, you're the only people that I can use for this plot,
which
you're
is
scientists.
Which is funny because that's how Kilowog is perceived in the comics as a big dumb brute, but Kilowog's like smart and he trains all the Green Lanterns. Okay. Here's something again that I want to, if you haven't read the books, it might be a spoiler, but I don't. There's something that I thought about while watching this, and I had a question for you.
Like, we're not going to ruin like big things that will definitely be spoilers. Like there might be things that haven't come up yet, but like just trust it.
This is kind of big though.
All right.
And I
Just
don't
trust us
know.
anyway.
Okay, read the book. We read the books
Read
again.
the
We've
book.
always said if you read the book, it's just not going to ruin the show for you. It actually enhances the show. Can the animated Debbie get back with Nolan? Can this version of Debbie get back with Nolan?
I mean, I would have said no in the comics as well, though. But she's so much more of a character here, and I mean,
It's it's crazy. I don't know. I'm watching this and I'm like,
the way that
she's
it would
really
come
good.
around, yeah, the way that it comes around involves another character, and I think
I think we get that season 3.
I think that's introduced end of this season.
You think so?
I think so. I think so.
think so?
I think Mark's going to space. I think Mark's going to space with Marsh.
It's
Alan.
hard. It's got to be hard for Kirkman. I think they have some sort of discussion with Amazon already about like how many seasons they're gonna get.
Yeah.
Because if they're like, you're probably gonna get maybe one more after season 3. You'll probably get a 4th season. Then you're like, okay, I'm gonna introduce Oliver. And then if not, is it Oliver? It's Oliver, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they're like, hey, this is going great, we can just keep going until you want. Then if he's like, okay, give me 7 seasons, I could tell this. I think he's always said he could tell this in like 7 seasons.
I think I could see that definitely.
So it's like, where do you slot
the
these
whole
things
thing.
in? Like, where do you slot these things in, and how do you want that story arc to? How long you want that to run? Because they are condensing things and shifting things around. Like, I don't know. I'm hoping there's some plan in place where Kirkman knows we're getting this and that's it, and then because the comic ends so great.
The redemption of Nolan is so big. It's so big, and it's such a like at this point in the story, whatever medium you're consuming it, it feels so impossible to have that, and they do such a good job of not only making you believe it and letting you buy into it, but the fact that you love Nolan again, like by like the time that you were fully in on it, it's hard, and it's a testament to everyone involved to make you love that character and to make you forgive that character. I don't know,
but this Debbie feels different. Like what Sandra is doing with this character and what the writers have done with this character versus what the comics, because the comics it was just like mom.
She was, until
a little bit generic. Nothing against Kirkman. Again, he's getting to do a second draft of this, and he's fleshing her out more. And the way they set up Omni-Man's turn at the end of the first episode, it made it so that she was more involved in finding out that he was a bad guy, and that she was more proactive into like figuring this stuff out, as opposed to just her finding out through Cecil later. This Debbie feels like she's going through way more than the comic book Debbie. And I started thinking about the show, and she's still, I mean, again, it's been a month for her, but I'm like, I don't see this one getting back, but I want it to happen because I just want to say that the ending of the comic book is such a happy ending for a lot of characters. And I'm hoping that also.
I mean, we don't know what's going on. But like, there's an entire plot line there with Olga and that card, whatever that is. Like, no idea what any of that is all about. And I'm excited to find it out because it's new.
That's why I say go ahead and read the books.
Yeah,
because you're getting a different version, and it's equally as good. And you're not gonna get spoiled. Jeremy Kelly is a testament to this. He picked up the books after we suggested go ahead and read the books.
Yeah,
it's gonna probably be like about like I don't know, like 6 months until we get season 2. You have plenty of time to read all of Invincible, and it turned out being like 2.5 years. but still, it didn't ruin it for him. I'm glad that he was the sort of guinea pig that was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to these guys and I'm gonna trust these guys, and it worked out. So I highly recommend maybe during the holiday break. Definitely check out the books. Read the books.
You can get through the first compendium in that time, at least if you want to like read at a regular pace.
Yeah, and get through the Angstrom
Yeah.
like storyline. You should be able to get through in the first compendium, I believe.
It's three compendiums total, and so like if you want to just do it in a 3-act structure, like that's a way of doing it. There's so much in all of them though. It's so good. I love what they're doing with Debbie. I think she was a standout in season 1 because she had so much more agency. She had so much more to do. We get more another character that was fleshed out more in the show, was given a bit more to do, was the girlfriend. What's her name? I feel terrible now. Amber. She's still around, which is good. They're going to college together, which we'll see. Yeah, like there was times in season 1 where we didn't. I don't know. I didn't really support the way that they were going about things. I understood it. But I think the way
it seems like that, based on rewatches and stuff, or reaction videos, I see that people also are not on
big Amber
Team
fans.
Amber. Yeah.
But again, now like he shows up and he's beaten to hell. But they're just talking about college. She knows what he is now, and she knows that he's just going to go and do his superhero thing. So hopefully going forward that'll be like a bit more. But again, there is always the Atom Eve of it. Like there's always going to be that sort of love triangle. I'm sure that they're going to go that way eventually. But
here's the thing, like I know where the comics go. Amber is not really in a lot of these books. No. Amber's out by like probably issue 20 or something.
Yeah.
She doesn't stick around that long.
She pops up one more time after that, and it's a really fun, awkward conversation, like when you run into an ex on the street, and that is exactly how it plays out. It's very fun.
But I've always preferred Atom Eve. I've always preferred Eve.
I think you're meant to as well. I think we're meant to as an audience and as readers. Like we're meant to go, okay, cool. Mark got with the hot girl that he never had the confidence to meet or anything like that. That was for him. Like, but going forward, he's got so much more in common with Eve. They've got this whole other life that they can relate to each other on. And Eve's got a story as well. So is she? I can't remember in the comics when she leaves for Africa. Does she still carry on going to high school?
I don't know.
Did she just like fly back to high school?
Does she graduate first?
Or maybe they graduate and then instead of going to college with them all, like possibly that could be it.
She doesn't. She doesn't need to go to high school. She's smarter than anybody at the school. It's like maybe she's just going to get her diploma. Shows up for test days or something. I don't know.
Well, she probably also showed up because she knew Mark was coming back and she cares about a friend.
Yeah, that seems great. Him going back into high school, and then his Flash Thompson dude. I forget his name. Yeah, there's too many characters.
The Flash Thompson
does the thing where he's
sympathizes. I'm not an asshole. I love the like. Yeah. That's the sort of thing that this show does. The other shows, animated shows in particular, they're not going to give a comic beat, like a slow, like everyone's looking at this guy going, "What the fuck are you doing, bud?" And he's like, "See?" It's like it's just giving it that little bit extra, those few extra seconds, just to let the comedy bit of it play out. Really good.
The character, I believe the character's called Giant. The giant red kaiju looking monster dude with the mentality of an 8-year-old. Hilarious. Everything he said. I want to be a president and an astronaut.
It's the inflection as well with it, all of it.
They're like pounding on him and trying to get him, and he's like, "Why are you trying to hurt? Why are you
doing this?" Yeah.
It just like the comedy is so good. It's definitely Kirkman. I saw an interview with him yesterday. Listen, guys. I don't know what you think like of me as far as like if you watch our Star Wars show. I like Star Wars a lot. Yeah. I really do. I grew up with it. But lately it hasn't been getting me as excited as Invincible. Like if I'll pass over like Filoni interviews or whatever. But a Kirkman interview I'll stop at every single time. Now what? The balloons? A Kirkman interview I'll stop at any time. And he did an interview that Amazon Prime posted, and he was being like normal and serious and talking about season 2, and I'm like, why isn't he just saying stupid shit? Like, how is he?
Like he normally
like,
does.
Like he's being professional Kirkman to the Prime Video interviewers, and it's just hilarious because I watched him, Corey Walker, and Ryan Otley do a sit down for Skybound, and they were talking about Mark versus blank.
Okay.
And it was like Mark versus Superman. Oh yeah, do get Superman. Mark versus the Hulk, and Otley was saying, "Oh, well, the Hulk would get it. The Hulk has a jetpack," and he's like, and Kirkman's like, "What are you fucking talking about? Like, just because you're drawing the Hulk, you're on the Hulk book now. You can't say that." And he's like, "What about Blue Suit Invincible?" He's like, "No, Blue Suit Invincible could beat up the Hulk." But then someone posted Mark versus Debbie, and the answer would be Debbie. Mark would never hurt his mom. Debbie would win. Yeah. And Kirkman's answer
slap
was,
him if he needed a slap.
Yeah. And Kirkman's response was, "Oh, Debbie would be a puddle on the ground because she's just a person." And that's Kirkman is like, I'm going to say the fucked up shits because it's hilarious, and he's trolling. And I'm like, I'm watching this thing where it's the official Prime Video account showing his interview, and it's like, he is the mind behind The Walking Dead, and he's talking about Invincible season 2, this animated series for adults, and it's like, so it's really funny. It's really funny. Sorry, I got distracted. I just got a text message about the movie I'm working on.
Okay. Last time that happened, it was really cool.
Yeah, I can't talk about this one though.
That's fine. You can text me later.
Yeah. That thing I told you on the 5th may be happening the 6th.
Oh, okay.
So we'll find out.
Very cool. Yeah, it's the show's great, guys. Like, I don't know, like I noticed it with you, Ralph. I think as soon as we had a date for Invincible coming back, you were like, there it is. I'm so good. Like,
have we talked about how this show started?
Yeah. We both like Invincible, and we were probably both tweeting about it.
It was announced, or something announced, or they released that character sheet where it showed all the character designs.
Oh yeah.
And you sent it to me on DM on Instagram, and you're like, "Dude, look at this," and I'm like, "Oh, holy shit!" Yeah. And literally 20 minutes later, I had secured Invincipod, domain, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook, everything was secured, and I'm like, we're doing this, because it gets me so excited. This episode, I think, when it comes down to it, is really great. For like a season 2 setup,
yeah.
But for a setup episode, it beats the setup for Ahsoka. Oh, yeah. It beats the setup for pretty much any other show.
I think you have to look at it as a second season. Because not a premiere episode, because a premiere episode's always going to have a lot to do, and that's the thing that everyone says about the pilot, premiere, whatever you want to call it, of Invincible on Amazon, is that you watch the entire episode and you're like, okay, it's a superhero show, I get it, like it's maybe a little bit more bloody, a little bit more violent and everything than normal, but yeah, it's 2021, that's what we expect. And then you get to the stinger at the end, and you're like, oh shit, okay, this is different, and this is why this is different. Man. Whereas now they don't need to do that. We still get like a long scene after the first credits pop.
Yeah.
And then now, like, we got all these characters, and they don't hold your hand. They don't need to reintroduce. It's just like, here is the next episode.
Yeah.
It just took 2.5 years to get to it.
Yeah, but what's great too is like you always have that awkward season 2 catching up where people are.
Yeah.
What's great was at the end of season 1, at the end, they told you where everybody was. They had that montage at the end where they showed the Mahler twins, and they showed Ye Sinclair and the Rhiannon with Cecil and stuff, and all of that stuff. The Rhiannon were like gold now. It's like they were upgraded. So it let you be like, okay, this is where we're going. So by the time we get to season 2, we're only need to catch up with what Mark's up to.
Yeah. And we get that through an amazing montage.
Yeah.
We see exactly where he's at. His depression is shown that way, and Debbie's is like, she's drinking a lot, and we see that. Yeah.
And then also, it's great that they put the Adam Eve special in there too. So anyone who's binging the show,
Yeah.
It gives you a nice time
Something in
between seeing
between.
Invincible.
And
The
also,
kinda-
oh yeah, remember the side characters. Remember who? I mean, she was only a side character really in season one, up to this point. I hopefully going forward more and more.
I'm hoping as we go forward, what happens in the book.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. I think that would be really good, and I could
I
totally
don't
see
need-
that felt like something that he was so proud of, because it was like, oh, we can do this if we're thinking of the same thing, like changing her look, like and just be like, it doesn't matter, like she has a power where she can change her look to whatever, but she's like wants to be who she is, and that leads itself to the character as well.
Yeah, I'm mostly talking about like happy endings kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Wanted to go there.
That's way down there.
I know that this is Robert Kirkman's second chance at this, and I know he likes to surprise the fans. Kirkman, if you do anything with Adam Eve that's different from the comics, that's really, really drastic, I'm going to be mad. The last panel of Invincible, the comic, made me so happy.
There's one a bit before that as well, like
oh yeah. The hospital bed thing. Yeah.
Yep, that one.
Here's the thing, like, there's enough shit going on in this world that's awful.
Yeah, we can have a happy ending.
Listen, I'm just gonna say it. No, I'm not gonna say it. But Eve's relationship with Mark needs to be the one thing that I have hope for, and I want it to stay. Amber,
there's some bad shit before we get to that.
Yeah, Jeremy Kelly says the entire last issue is beautiful. I agree. We've discussed it on this show. If you want to go read the books, come back, watch that episode. But by the time you get to the end of Invincible, it brings you hope. It makes you happy, and I need that for the show. Don't subvert the comic reader's expectations. We love the comic, and we love the direction of the show. Change whatever you want.
Yep.
But the relationship with Mark and Eve needs to stay the same. Exactly
Pure.
the same. And I don't even care about the Debbie and Nolan thing. Like, I'd like to see them get back together. Wouldn't that be crazy if they got back together? But Adam Eve and Mark is something that I need.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do that special without feeling like that's the direction they're going with them.
But that's the problem with Kirkman.
Yeah,
is you expect him to say, and Mark would never be able to defeat Debbie because mentally he would never do that to his mom. Her. And then he literally says, oh yeah, Mark turns her into a puddle. Yeah. She doesn't have any superpowers. She's just flesh. And it's like, it's a fun joke.
Yeah.
But whatever subversion. Yeah. Yeah. Make the kids happy. Make me happy.
It's a superhero book. At the end of the day, it's he was doing Invincible because he couldn't do Spider-Man. Like, he's always said that. He said that to Bendis the whole time. Like, when he was like, Ultimate Spider-Man's my favorite book, and Bendis would be like, Invincible's my favorite book. And yeah, that was how they did it.
I like Invincible more than Spider-Man.
Oh, absolutely, I do.
Yeah. So Kirkman, I don't think you're watching this. If anybody at Skybound is watching this, let them know. Let Kirkman, Otley, and Walker know, and anyone from the show, any of the directors from the show. I've been trying to find.
Thank you first and foremost.
Yeah, I've been trying to find folks from the show to follow on Blue Sky. Like anyone at Skybound, let anybody know, anybody at Skybound, that we're not going to shit on this show at all. I'm like the biggest champion of Invincible. I love it. And we're not going to talk ill of it. We might sound like shills, but join us. Yeah. Join us. This is our open invitation to join us.
It is a celebration.
Because this is the best comic book show on TV. I haven't seen The Boys, but I can't imagine The Boys.
I like it. It's fine. But I was never a big fan of the book, so it's only ever gonna adapt to that. I didn't really like the book. It felt too edgy.
Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
I like She-Hulk a lot, but this
She-Hulk
is
was
better.
great, but yeah, everything. Yeah, so much better.
I
Than
can't
all of
think
it.
of like Hawkeye was okay, but
Yeah.
like the
This is
DC
the best
shows
one.
were great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Harley Quinn's a good show. Maybe that's it. Maybe comics should just be animated series.
I think it works better. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got Scott Pilgrim's out next week, so we'll see how that
Yeah.
translates to like an anime
Fucking Life
sort of
Day.
style.
There's so
Yeah,
many
it's-
things.
yeah.
Life Day, me and Stevie have a shared calendar, and anytime something comes out, we put it on the calendar. And Life Day, which is the 17th, which is the next week, next Friday, it's a big old long list of everything that's coming out. Godzilla,
cool.
Monster, Monarch Legacy
Yeah,
of Monsters,
Monarch,
and
yeah.
I think there's a movie, like the Hunger Games, that's coming out. It's Life Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Have they announced any things for Star Wars? We should talk about that tomorrow. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah, we should talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, so like if you are not sick of us already, like tomorrow we're going to be back with live action Star Wars episode. So come and join us over there
talking
if you
about
want to. The director
talking
and the
about
Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if yeah,
And
we're
then
gonna have some
Friday.
other thoughts there. And then Friday, like we're
We'll
only
be
a few
right
days
back
away.
here.
We're gonna be back here for Invincipod episode 2, where we get
Yeah.
to talk about Invincible again, and there's gonna be a new episode.
It's gonna be fresh. So watch it
Yeah.
Thursday
Oh, yeah,
night,
super fresh.
and then we'll be here. We'll be here at 7:30 in the morning Pacific time, and then what's that? 3:30 your time right now, or
Yeah,
is it the
3:30
same?
p.m. Yeah. No, we're leveled out again for the next 6 months or so.
Just
yeah.
get rid of it. Get rid
Yeah,
of the time
absolutely.
change.
Agree.
I think we need a global clock. I really do.
I would be fine with it because you just get used to whatever the time is.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Follow us on Blue Sky, Twitter, I guess, Instagram. I don't think we're on Facebook. I think that lapsed or something happened. I don't know where, but whatever. You'll find us at Invincipod anywhere you do it. Thanks to everybody for showing up for the live stream. We'll see you on Friday. Thank you, James. And anything else?
No, I'm looking forward to Friday. I can't wait.
Cool. Well, we'll see you then for a brand new episode of